Eagle looking great. Your go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sci-Fi Wise Guys podcast. My name is Anthony.
And my name is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, I should have said Miyamo.
Me llamo es
Miyamo Chris.
Que paso?
Hola. Well, the one thing I remember, one of the few things I remember from Spanish class is my teacher drilled into my head that it's just Miyamo and then your name. You don't say Miyamo
Chris?
S because
there's no
you're not saying my name is. Well, Miyamo is my name is. So you're not saying my name is
Gotcha.
whatever. So
I just remember them and this is probably very juvenile, but I had this issue in Spanish class, right? Because I didn't say me llamo Anthony. I had to say my Spanish name.
Oh, Antonio?
Me llamo Antonio. But the guy named Antonio didn't have to go by Anthony in English class.
I think that's a fair criticism. I think that's fair.
Why do I have to have a new name? I'm not going to go to another country and say, oh, yeah, my name is Antonio. No, I'm just going to say it's Anthony. If they pronounce it funny, that's fine. I get it.
What they probably do is they would just call you Antonio.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to introduce myself that way. I feel like that's a misrepresentation.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that if I accidentally perpetrate some cultural appropriation, it's only because of my 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade Spanish classes beating it into me. Okay.
I didn't get one of those because
the kids that also called me Aunt Fernie after Aunt Fernie Hardaway while I played basketball, which looking back might be just as bad. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he was all right. He didn't have a longest career, but
no.
Got in trouble with the NCAA when he was a coach, but it's not important.
Did he? I have no idea.
No, I didn't get that because I guess Christopher doesn't have a Spanish translation.
Christopher is Christopher.
Yeah.
Saint Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old bearer of someone's Christ. Well, we talked a lot about Spanish.
Yeah. We watched our first Spanish language, or primarily Spanish language thing. In this case, it's a short film. And I'm gonna try not to laugh too much at the name. El Camino.
El Camino.
Yeah. Which I first saw this being reviewed by the Science Fiction Remnant podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wow, they're branching out. They're doing the Breaking Bad movie. Not related to it at all. This is a primarily Spanish-speaking short film on Dust, our favorite short film provider. It's actually, I actually really like this cover art. Let's get some facts out of the way. Over on IMDb and on YouTube, the blurb reads, in order to sustain his family, a troubled pilot accepts one last crooked deal to transport a dangerous cargo inside his spaceship. On IMDb, it has 169 ratings, and it's sitting at 7.2 out of 10. On YouTube, if we click on over, I don't know, it's got 20,000 thumbs ups. With 943,000 views. We're closing in on 1 million views. For something that's not in English, on a channel that is basically I would say 99% English, is pretty good. That is pretty good. It is directed by Jaime Hasso and Fernando Campos. I assume that's how I'm pronouncing it correctly. I assume that I am pronouncing it correctly. Wow, I butchered that sentence. They are primarily visual effects artists, but they have joined teams for a couple of projects that they directed, created, and it comes through for the most part. In all but one case, which we'll get to later, visual effects are stunning. Spaceships look great. Really, really enjoy it. I want to say this is something I picked, but really I just picked it because Science Fiction Remnant picked it. And I thought, it'll be fun to review something they've reviewed and then see if they, see how it matches up after the fact. So this is really, I guess I did pick it, but that's where it came from. It wasn't even a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
truth be
I'm just
told,
trying to ape a little bit of their
for the listeners,
uh-huh.
El Camino is a movie that I once did consider suggesting for.
Oh, really?
Short film Sunday, Saturday,
whatever we were doing.
Yeah, short film insert gimmick that lasted one, try here. But
sure.
No, they were just, it was too long.
We were going for the shortest ones. And
yeah.
This one's 14, 15 minutes. It's 13 minutes on Dust, but we all complain about Dust and their credits.
Yeah. See, here's the deal. I had an El Camino, ladies and gentlemen. I owned a 1981
Oh.
Chevrolet El Camino Conquista. It was red.
19 what?
1981.
1981 El Camino.
Um,
Red. Let's see if we can get a picture of it.
and unfortunately, the engine blew up.
Ooh.
And I've never been able to own another one.
That's interesting because I feel like El Caminos are really well known for being reliable vehicles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the reason why the engine blew up. You know,
let's get that picture in there. Look at that thing.
Being a hot rod and idiot. Yeah, I had it had
Wow.
white, like those boat rims. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I had one. I've been looking for one
like
ever
this
since.
Thing right here, maybe?
No, those are white wall tires. No, like if
no,
you,
well, I mean the
the rims.
Oh, the rims. Sorry.
Yeah, like if you ever see like those like a trailer, like you ever look and see those really crappy white rims, those are the kind that were on there.
Are the are the El Caminos the ones that explode, or am I thinking of something else?
You might be thinking of the 1984 Pontiac Fiero.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Which had the issue is that the engine was too tall for the bay, so they had to redesign the oil pan, and it would catch fire.
That's great.
I also owned
Fiero
owned a Fiero, but it did not. It wasn't an 84, and it did not catch fire. No, so yeah, El Camino, fun little short film. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I guess my question is, do you know what Camino?
The path. El Camino means the path or the ground, depending on your dialect in Spanish.
Dialect, is that the word?
Well, like a different region. Like maybe in Spain it means one thing, and
sure.
In Mexico it could mean another. Peru,
gotcha.
Wherever.
This is saying the translation, Google Translate or Bing Translate, it says road.
Yeah,
but that makes sense. Path, road.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Journey. That's a good name for a car with a pretty useless bed in the back.
No,
like, what are you putting back there that's not flying out right away?
I mean, it's a regular truck bed. Like,
is it that deep?
No. The way that aerodynamics work is that when the wind blows over the cab, it just goes straight back.
Good.
So
I'm glad you could explain that to me.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Like unless it's over the top of the cab, it's not going to fly out. I never had anything fly out. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Before we get too, you know what? We'll loop back around to this. I'll share this later. Let's talk about it. It's very short. It only has 3 actors in it.
Maybe.
Maybe 4, depending on the voice acting.
Maybe.
We've already mentioned this space. Obviously, El Camino is literally the name of this dude's spaceship. He's the equivalent of a long haul trucker in space. So everything I've just described to you is extremely unoriginal. I'm jumping in with my opinion. It's extremely unoriginal. Him being addressed in English and immediately just speaking Spanish back because he doesn't like speaking English. All right, fair enough. Okay, guy. All right. Him taking one last job before, but instead of spending time with his kid back on Earth, his kid Robin, who is with him. Cool, I guess. That's still also pretty typical. I knew right away that she was probably his daughter, and at least was very young because of 2 things, Chris. 2 tropes. 1, she had headphones on and carried them around everywhere. Very Gen Z.
Yeah.
2, she didn't listen and do what she was told.
Zoomers,
Youngin. Youngin. I mean, this is the far future, so who knows? It's Gen C. Who knows? He goes to pick up the cargo. There's a military, like, humanoid or bipedal robot that, once again, man in a suit, looks like a robot. That's pretty common. Who is coming with the cargo to protect it. He has a gun. He points the gun at the guy during their conversation, which is pretty, like, that to me is like, I'm leaving. Like, that's
muzzle discipline, bro.
Muzzle discipline on a robot should be pristine.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the robot went off to look at something and got trapped somewhere else in the ship. The kid goes and opens the cargo they're not supposed to open, gets infected by an alien parasite. The cargo bay gets separated from the ship after our main character begs the robot not to kill his daughter who's infected. The daughter and the robot and the alien eggs all blow up in the cargo hold. But of course, the guy's crying, and then of course the eggs get seen falling to the earth because of course they do. And I just spoiled this 13-minute movie.
Spoilers ahead.
It's pretty. It's well acted. it's the most unoriginal plot. Like it was like, oh, this is gonna happen. Oh, this is gonna happen. Oh, this is gonna happen. Oh, hey, let's wait and see the debris. I bet you those eggs are still in there. Yes, they are. There they are. I think the most interesting thing was that the eggs. I don't even know. I'm calling them eggs. They might not have been eggs. They could have been some other form of like stasis or cage that just looked like, because they were square. They were cubes.
Yeah.
Which I found pretty interesting. But I guess my my initial thoughts and opinions, meh.
For me, this movie is another in a long line of jobs you do, right? In the 80s, Die Hard came out, right? And then like it was like, all right, well, Die Hard was a great success. Now we're gonna make Die Hard on a plane. Now we're gonna make Die Hard on a ship. We're gonna make Die Hard on
under siege.
Yeah.
Hold on. What was the other one you said? Air Force One.
Well, I was Executive Decision. Die Hard on a plane.
Executive Decision.
Yeah, it's got Kurt Russell, Steven Seagal, Brandon Wang. It's pretty good. Yeah. F-1117 Nighthawk can transport up to 10 people. Cool story. And then
fantastic. Yeah.
Die Hard on a bus, right? Speed. So
yep. Speed 2, Die Hard on a boat again.
So you have these movies that copy, right? And I think in a lot of ways, what's great about the genre of science fiction is we're not going to do Die Hard in space. I mean, it's been done.
Yeah, wasn't that he goes to a prison in space and gets the president's daughter or something? I can't remember. Lockdown.
Lockdown.
It was a great. I love that movie. I watched it twice, in 3 days. It was great.
I think we watched it together. It was great.
Maybe, yeah.
But what sci-fi allows us to do is take what should be a ubiquitous, everyday occurrence and turn it into a fantastic adventure. In theory, quotes, right?
Sure.
Fantastic adventure. And so we watched another movie. I don't know if you remember it, Beyond White Space. You remember that movie?
I love that movie.
The whale hunters.
Yeah, it was like
in space.
It was like a take on Moby Dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
In space with space dragons.
Yeah, it was Moby Dick.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
It was cool.
But they were whale hunters or dragon hunters, whatever, in space.
Sure. Yeah.
And there was that movie that came out a couple years ago that we thought about watching that we didn't watch, Space Sweepers, which was the garbage men that
no, I don't remember that one.
We didn't watch it.
I believe you. I just don't remember us talking about it.
Yeah, it was a Korean movie.
A lot of movies.
Well, it was a Korean movie that came out right after we watched Traveling Earth.
Wandering Earth.
Well, yeah. So we had done so many foreign language films that we didn't want to do another one. But they just essentially go around Earth collecting the garbage that we're launching into space, into orbit.
That makes sense.
So that's what this is. Like you could tell this story in an actual semi truck.
Yeah.
You could tell
this could be an X-Files episode.
Yeah, literally the exact same story.
Yeah.
And they could even speak Spanish and it would be believable. Maybe not the robot. Maybe instead of the robot, you got a human guard or something, but it's not important.
Yeah.
In terms of the short film itself, I think it does a really great job telling the story with the visuals. Like there isn't that much dialogue. I mean, there's dialogue, but 13-minute movie, it's pretty quick, or it's pretty sparse. It's interesting that like they still speak in Spanish. Like even the robots speak Spanish, which isn't that weird to me. But the fact that like the computer's automated system speaks English, like I don't know if that's an oversight, like intentionally.
I don't think so. Well, I think that because I did think about that. Like the robot doesn't speak until spoken to.
Yeah,
it pauses for a moment. It replies in Spanish because like if a computer makes sense, a robot or computer or other AI, right? If it's addressed in a language, it's probably just going to reply in that language.
Sure.
The computer voice was a little confusing. It could be just that the ship doesn't have a Spanish mode, which doesn't make any sense. But also some of the times it was like they go through a Stargate in space, for lack of a better word, and it talking to them is in English, and that makes sense, right? Like modern air traffic control is all in English, right? Even though the pilots might be speaking something else amongst themselves. So maybe that was part of it. But I'm not sure because it also says like, oh, a bomb is on board.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the ship. So I don't know.
Well,
you're right.
For me, I questioned it for two different reasons. Like, one, was it an actual like oversight from the writers? Or B, is it left in there as like a quote unquote Easter egg? Because Homeboy speaks English. Rojo understands and speaks English. He just prefers to speak Spanish. Sure.
Sure.
Like maybe because you cannot convince me that in the future where we have robots that are humanoid enough to where, whatever, that can immediately switch their language, that their ship's computer can't also do the same thing. So maybe he just like, it's one of those situations where he speaks Spanish between him and Robin, but they both understand and speak English. So he's just not willing to pay for that upgrade. Cause it's the future. Yeah. They got to microtransaction you out the wazoo.
Yeah.
When he buys the El Camino, when he buys the 2065 or 2006 51 Chevrolet El Camino, right? And he goes up there and they're like, well, man, here's the paperwork. You get ready to sign everything. And he's like, oh, do you have a Spanish module? They're like, oh yeah, that's an extra 40 million credits. And he's like, you know what? I'll forget about it. I'll make do, right? So like that was my headcanon.
Maybe.
And then later on I thought, well, maybe they didn't want the computer to speak Spanish because they already got Spanish subtitle, or they already have Spanish to English or English, whatever, subtitles. Right. And they can't have the computer in Spanish because then the computer would also have to be subtitled.
Yeah, it's definitely real world considerations going, we'll have this in Spanish because the computer very rarely, if at all, says anything that isn't already happening.
Yeah.
Right? Like the computer is... It makes sense in universe. It's like giving alarms about things that are happening, and oh, thanks for coming through the gate. Blah blah blah. Oh, there's a bomb on board. Oh no! But those are all things we can see. So the computer is more or less giving in-world exposition. And if you're aiming at a broader audience, English makes sense for the computer. Now, I will say that the two guys that we were talking about, who made this, are from Mexico. This was made in Mexico. They have another work of fiction that I'm going to bring up and maybe put on the list for us to watch that I believe is also all in Spanish. So them putting the computer's voice in English is very much an artistic choice.
Yeah.
Definitely to give it a broader audience, to put it like, it's a short film. I think that, if anything we've said sounds interesting and you're like, maybe I will watch this. Oh, but I don't like reading subtitles. Oh, shut up. It's 12, 13 minutes. Just watch it and read a little bit. It's not a lot.
I struggle with that argument already because you're already using your eyes to look at the screen. You can't glance down for half a second. So no offense to anybody listening. No, aside from those unfortunate souls, if your reading comprehension is so bad that you can't, like, if someone is like, if you can't read the dialogue fast enough, I might alienate some listeners here. Maybe you should have paid attention in school.
Maybe you should have paid attention to the English class I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think Antonio.
Yeah.
Not you.
I feel like, so part of the reason I don't care for subtitles in general is just like, I don't like splitting my attention between the action on screen and reading. And I also, it's gotten better, but I think when I was a kid, or young preteen or whatever, and first getting exposed to things with subtitles, I could read faster than they were talking. And it was this weird thing where I've read the sentence and then I have to hear the sentence and then I get to read the next one. And then I get and these are of course more like closed captionings than foreign subtitles or whatever.
Sure.
So I just don't care for it, but whatever. No one should be so hard and fast to a rule like that. Like me preferring a dub over a sub doesn't mean I won't watch something that doesn't have a dub. Sure. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm getting at.
No, for sure.
Overall, like, I'm going to click on this real quick. Let's see. I'm going to go to Dust's YouTube channel here. I'm going to click on videos. It doesn't tell me how many videos they have. They have to have hundreds of short films on here. Most of them are better than this, in my opinion. I don't think you'd be wasting your time by watching this.
912 videos.
Does it say it on my screen?
Right there.
Oh, shoot, it does. 912 videos. They have 912 videos. This is one you don't have to watch. It's fine. It's pretty, I guess. And if the idea of something that's in Spanish appeals to you, then absolutely check it out. But it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it except for the fact that it just kind of exists. And that's unfortunately, I really hate doing these reviews where I'm just like, meh.
Well,
like I'd rather hate it or love it,
To be fair, art is supposed to
invoke a response.
Sorry, I couldn't think of the word invoke. Invoke an emotional response from you. Sure. So your response of meh Like, I think that's completely valid. Just because you don't love or hate something doesn't mean that your opinion is not right.
Oh, it's not that it's not valid. It's just that it's boring, and then it's like that's the worst response to have about something. Because if you watch something and you hate it, I want to talk to people about how much I hated this thing and how much it sucked. Right? If I watch something and love it, I want to talk to people how much I love this and get them to watch it. I'm like, hey, do you want to watch it with me? I want to watch it again. When you watch something like this, where it's like, sure, okay.
I wonder if it's like my reaction to like Cloverfield, which is a movie that's great.
Fantastic.
95%. In that last 5 or 6 minutes, I'm just like, what is going on this film?
How do you end a movie like this? Yeah.
Not the way they did it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But no, I'm not as ambivalent towards this thing, I guess, as you are. Like, I found it entertaining enough, but like it is very paint by numbers. It's very cliche. Like I've seen this story. It probably is an X-Files episode. In fact, like it's like the premise of it is the premise to like every Aliens movie after the first one, right?
Oh,
it's
maybe. Yeah.
Like, hey, we got to go here. Why? Well, it's because there's this thing we got to go get. Well, what's there? Oh, it's these aliens eggs. Well, they kill everyone they come in contact with. What do you want to do with them? Oh, I want to bring them back to Earth. Great idea. Great idea, Wayland Yutani.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's the vibe I got while I was watching it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is just like this is like Alien.
I feel like really he goes, he gets the thing, they introduce the robot. It's obvious that the kid is about to open the box. If they'd done anything but, they could have done something way more abstract and weird and sci-fi. You know what I mean? They could have done something mundane. It could have turned into an action flick because the robot kills the kid before they see what's inside of it. And then it's the robot versus him. Like, I feel like at that point, 3/4 of the way through the short, they could have went a million ways and they went the most boring.
Like, what if she grabs it and an alien does pop out of it?
Sure.
But it's not a bad alien.
No.
It's like an endangered species or something. And then it's
right.
It's like, oh.
Okay. That's a Star Trek episode. But keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's less boring than what we got, which is essentially Alien. Some possession and some...
I'm not saying it's Alien.
I'm not saying it. I will say that the only piece of bad CGI in it, her hair, it's like her hair is hanging down, and then there's CGI hair on top of it waving, there's wind on the spaceship that her hair is waving in. I don't know, it's floating or something. Whatever. It didn't look great.
There's an atmosphere, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's under a vent that's moving just some of her hair wistfully. Whatever. I did see. So they have these two same guys. They also directed another film. Let me pull it up on the screen here for everybody, including you, called Aztec. But it's spelled Aztech.
That's a fun play on words. Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. Fantasy, horror, sci-fi. Ancient Aztec prophecies are fulfilled after the fall of meteorite fragments and extraterrestrial material that impact the Earth. Bizarre events occur in the different spaces and times of the collision. That's pretty interesting. If we click on the pictures of this, when we click through here, that prop looks pretty familiar. This robot head looks pretty familiar.
I got to point out, that
the ship looks pretty familiar.
That Homeboy is wearing the spacesuit in El Camino.
Yeah.
And he takes the helmet off and you can see the DOT sticker on the back of the helmet.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
I did not notice that. That's pretty good. I like it. I like it. But if I click over a picture here, that is definitely the same space gate from our short film. So I don't know, man. I don't know. So it looks like maybe, especially like the spaceship here, it looks like they did the short film first. It looks like if I click over to Mr. Campos and I go to his directorial, they did the short film first, and they did that maybe proof of concept, and then maybe Aztec is a bigger piece. Maybe it's a prequel. It does talk about meteorites falling to the Earth, so maybe that's the remains of the El Camino, El Camino. Man, that's the widest thing I've ever said. I guess that is though. That's right? Because if something was named in English, the journey, you would call it the journey is its name, so it would be the journey, right? Or I don't know. Maybe I'm just
when
grasping.
So did J.R.R. Tolkien write books called The Lord of the Rings?
I actually don't know. Is
But
it Lord of the Rings or The Lord of the Rings? I think it's The Lord of the Rings.
right. But like, would you say like the Lord of the Rings? But
I would, and I think I have actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Like The Hobbit, right? The
Yeah.
Hobbit?
The Hobbit.
That's a good question.
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it might be more proper to say the El Camino or the
Well, it's 'cause
something.
it's its title.
Right, because it's its title, but it feels awkward to say. So I mean, I think both ways. As long as it's one of those things where as long as you understand what I mean, it's communication, and we're all good. But
if Juan Solo,
ooh, okay,
was meeting Luca Skywalker, and El Mos Eisley, would he say that I'm El Capitan of the El Camino, or would he say I'm the captain of El Camino who can do the Kessel Run in?
I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't know, man.
It's a good question. Sure. I don't know. Sure. I'm not smart enough to know that answer.
Yeah.
Well, in Halo 2, like
Halo 2,
they're like those orbital defense platforms, or no, not in Halo 2. In Mass Effect 2, when he's naming off the names of the ships that got destroyed in the Battle of the Citadel, he says
he just shifting me into a completely different universe.
Yeah. No, but he calls several ships like whatever.
Well, it's because like what you think. Just to make it simpler, man, you call it the Enterprise, right? It's the Enterprise.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, if in the context of like the language, like I guess I'm just trying to like figure it out. Like, I guess I'm just trying to talk it out. It's not important. We talked about several science fiction franchises that were far more interesting than El Camino, the short film. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I have one last thing I want to share, not related to El Camino. Oh, sorry. I guess I should ask. Worth the price of subscription? It's a free YouTube video. Obviously, I'm going to say no. We've pretty much already said no.
I mean, on its merits, I can't say that it's worth the price of subscription. But if you like space, if you like space trucking, and you're interested in foreign language films, why not?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. It's one of those things like if everything I've said, if that piques your interest, then go watch it. If everything I said and you agree with me, then don't watch it. No big deal. It's not like Alien Warfare where we're going to argue about it for years. It's going to define our relationship until one of us dies. So I use Spotify for my music and most of my podcasting when I'm not using Good Pods. Do you use Spotify?
Only when I'm literally forced to do so.
Oh, okay. Well, they recently added audiobooks to Spotify, and I knew that, and I ignored it. I'm not super interested in an audiobook. So my Spotify is basically metal music and Star Trek podcasts. Okay. On any given day, it's more one than the other. Who knows, right?
Sure.
But yesterday I opened up Spotify. And it does its recommendations. Like you can scroll through and see, oh, these are new albums, or hey, here's some playlists you might like, or whatever. And then it was like, hey, here are some audiobooks we recommend for you based on just the algorithm. And allow me to share this with you, Chris. Like I said, metal music and Star Trek podcasts, and apparently that equals
the Communist
Manifesto and Capital. A Critical Analysis of Capitalist Production, Volume 1, by Karl Marx, I guess. I don't know.
Yes,
anyways, so there you go.
Join us in the revolution, brother.
Absolutely. Look, we're recording this way early. I'm about to go see Barbie in theater after this, which is how early we're recording this. Kind of getting a little ahead. I guess we would have just had Ninja Turtle month, so hopefully that was awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. But if you have recommendations for other things we should watch, other foreign language films, short films in general, or other interesting science fiction or science fiction adjacent media that we should check out, either because it's really bad or just really good, send your suggestions to us, scifiwiseguys @gmail.com. You can also DM us or hit us up on all of the social medias, pretty much. At Sci-Fi Wise Guys. We really appreciate the suggestions.
Stay healthy, stay hydrated, and always remember, escucha a tu padre.
Listen to your dad. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Has landed.
But yeah, like I'm scrolling through and I'm like, oh cool, there's my new Star Trek podcast and like audiobooks for you. Communism.
Yes.
I was like, that's pretty good. That just reminds me of the Deep Space Nine episode where the Ferengi travel back in time to Earth in the 1950s or 60s or whatever, and they're accusing them of being communists after they get captured. Like, are you a communist? Are you reading Karl Marx? And Nog, is it? Replies, no, but I'll look him up. And then like a few episodes later, or somewhere in that same season after that, he's leading a revolution of the workers at Quarks. And I'm like, okay, very good.
Rad.
Very good.
I don't remember that episode. Yeah.
It's a good up. Good up.